Here's my rating list for chronic illnesses specific to ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, ostomy bags, J pouches, really that whole slew of GI issues. Okay, so these are in no particular order, but the first one here I'm looking at is Two Girls Staring at the Ceiling by Lucy Frank. This book was gifted to me in like a little care package after I had my first major surgery and was like hospitalized for 5 weeks. So I found this really relatable. It's kind of cool because I don't, off the top of my head, know if it's like a true story, but I do know that it is written from the perspective of two girls having a conversation in a hospital room divided by a curtain. So it's really cool. And a lot of it was like really relatable. So I would definitely recommend this if you're looking for more of a story-like fiction read that's still able to relate to these subjects. The next book I will go over is one that I bought for myself, and it's called More Than Skin Deep, The Silent Soul Shaper, and this is by Jessica Mann. So this book is an autobiography. It goes into Jessica's life and experience, getting diagnosed, and basically having to make all the tough decisions that you have to when you have ulcerative colitis at a certain point. It talks a lot about that struggle to decide what you want to do when you're faced with the option of, do I get an ostomy bag or do I not? Or do I go J pouch or do I just not do any of it? It also includes real pictures. I really love how authentic and raw this is. So much so that at some points I found myself actually getting frustrated reading it because it was so raw and so real and so many unfiltered thoughts. And it's like, yes, those are thoughts that maybe I had in the moment, but looking back now, I have a completely different perspective on. So it was a little hard for me to wrap my head around that, but I do think that just kind of shouts out to the great writing. One thing too I want to know is that this is written in like, I guess more of the perspective of like the person as they're going through their journey. Whereas the next two that I'm going to talk about take a little bit more of a reflective approach, and so they talk about it more coming from where they are now and looking back at where they were at the time. This next book I was actually gifted by the author, so thank you, Julie. I talked a lot about it on my channel, and I actually just finished reading it like a week or so ago. This is called Stay by Julie Fingerish, and this is so good. So good in a lot of ways because I actually love that it doesn't only focus on ulcerative colitis and chronic illness, it also focuses on mental health and the impacts that it has on family and loved ones. For me, I think the most touching part was actually the through line that was blending all of these different narratives together and really trying to make sense of them as someone who maybe isn't the person struggling with the chronic illness or the mental health issues. This is one that was definitely written with a lot of reflection put into it, but it also reads like a story. So it was very easy for me to get invested in this. The last one, as you probably could have guessed, is Stories from a Hospital Bed, a hospital memoir written by me. This is my self-published book. It is a memoir. It's about my entire experience from getting diagnosed at 13 with ulcerative colitis all the way up until when I pretty much am now at 23. So there's 10 years worth of information in this book. It's formatted as like a series of short stories, which I think makes it really like a fast read. So there's some in there that don't really relate necessarily to ulcerative colitis, but then there's other ones that focus specifically on different types of surgery that I've had, which I've had 6, and I've had a flawed surgery. There's a lot of complications and twists and turns. I try my best to explain a lot of what I experienced in the hospital in both ways that people who have experienced can understand, but also in ways that people who come from a non-medical background and have never faced these issues before could understand. I have a lot of diagrams most of which I hand drew. I have pictures in there of my real life. I will say for this one, because it is self-published, it is only available on Amazon and Kindle at the time being. I think most of the other ones you can either find on the author's website or online.